What is going on, everybody? It is episode 412 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. Happy Monday. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We are dangerously close to episode 420. I don't know what we should do. Like, what do you think?
What would I know about any of that? I have no idea.
I don't know anything about the devil's lettuce. Anyway, we have a guest on the show today. Hello, Wesley.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Happy to be back.
Wesley is here because he sent me a message on Saturday. He goes, dude, just got done with Oppenheimer. I got to be on the review for it. And I said, okay, because I'm going tonight. Like a psychopath, I went at 8:30 at night. It started at 8:40 and didn't get out of there till after midnight. So that is one of the things we're going to talk about today. But before we talk about the Oppenheimer review, we will talk about Barbenheimer, which absolutely cleaned up, nuked the box office and all its competition, if you will. We're going to talk about the domination it enjoyed both here and overseas. We're going to talk about some of the memes that have come out of all of this. There's a little bit of controversy with, people are, here's the thing, guys. If you want to like Barbie, nobody's going to stop you. And nor should they. They should not tell you. This is what I love about it. I saw people arguing about Oppenheimer. I saw people arguing about Barbie. But Barbie was the one where you weren't allowed to have a dissenting opinion. I got into a back and forth with a couple of people about Oppenheimer. And it was good, clean, film critic fun. That's good. You have your objective tastes. You have your subjective tastes.
However,
he's being raked over the coals, ladies and gentlemen, because he likes the Barbie movie. You're allowed to like the Barbie movie. We're going to talk about all of it. We're going to get into it because I am glad we are wrapping up the Barbenheimer plot arc that's been going on the last month or so. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to review Oppenheimer. We're going to talk about Chris with a K, Tyson, who has become trans. Or wait, do you become...
first the announcement was that he's taking HRT. Now it's official. Yep. Chris Tyson comes out as a trans woman on Anthony Padilla's show.
So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the resurfaced clip of Snow White causing a Bud Light style backlash. That's actually what it says in the article.
Real headline, by the way.
Real headline, a Bud Light style backlash. We got a $20 super chat here from Jay Raymond.
Sorry, I'm waiting for it to pop up here.
Go
he
for
said,
it.
I heard Oppenheimer bombed in Japan. Haha, yeah, I already heard that one.
That was that. Yeah, some of the memes that came out of that. Some of the memes that came out of that were very, very good. So good one, buddy. We're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. Wait.
You sound so patronizing. Good one, buddy.
No, it was good.
Good job.
We're going to talk about Snow White. We got a bunch of other stuff. But before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Remember, all super chats, $20 and over, like the one that Jay Raymond just sent. We will stop the discussion. We will read them right then and there, and then we will get right back on topic. All right. First things first, though. Lana Del Rey is back in the news.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a PR stunt or what, but last time we talked about her getting a job at Waffle House, and I guess she got fired after her first day because she was taking too many vape breaks. Because now she's been spotted at Texas Roadhouse. I don't know what state this is in.
She's not working there, though. She's dressed normally.
Is Texas Roadhouse like a thing in LA?
It's not just in LA. Texas Roadhouse, as far as I know, is in other states, right? There's Texas Roadhouse out here.
Well, no, I know, but is it in the West Coast? I wasn't aware of that.
It's probably in Alabama, where she is.
A lot of people are responding thinking that it's in Texas just because it has Texas in the name. Overrated restaurant, by the way. But I guess she's gotten her second waitressing job now. I'm sure she's waitressed in the past.
I've never been to a Texas Roadhouse in my life.
I've been one time, and most of the hype is about their Hawaiian rolls.
Bad Kitty Mama says she's definitely not working at Waffle House. Well, we can dream. It's funnier if it's true.
She was in uniform. She was pouring coffee. What am I supposed to believe here?
I heard everything on the internet is true. Like, did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah. Like
okay, but this has video evidence.
It's all true. Like everything, there's video evidence of a lot of stuff. So, it's
I just want to know why Waffle House laid her off.
just like,
This
look,
is discrimination.
she's bringing too much bad press for them. Would be my guess. So.
And not Waffle House Wendy?
Well, Waffle House Wendy did get let go, I believe, and then she had to go work elsewhere. Yeah, she had to go work elsewhere.
God.
Like
Hopefully
they fired her from the one she was working. There's a $20 one there from Cody Bordeaux.
Okay.
Boudreaux. Sorry.
Texas Roadhouse is all over. My sister and I love going to it for a date night. You are weird.
Okay.
That got right.
No,
right in the feels.
Look, wait. So is Texas Roadhouse like it was like just steak? What do they serve?
I
at
don't
Texas
really get
What the hell do they sell at Texas
The
Roadhouse?
whole thing.
Isn't it pretty much just one of like
Southern food.
Yeah, well, no, it's not. It's
Or-
the same as a Logan's Roadhouse. It's the same.
I don't know what the hell that is either.
It's just a
They're all-
chain restaurant.
They're roadhouses.
Yeah, it's just a regular chain restaurant. Like it's nothing
Okay.
special. It's like a Longhorn or an Outback Steakhouse or.
Oh, okay,
whatever.
so I've been. We had Outback Steakhouse in Minnesota. Yeah. I can draw a comparison there. Fair enough, but I still eat steak with steak sauce, so I'm very uncultured.
Ew,
Well,
gross.
not out here because we actually get like good steak, but like at home, yeah, definitely with steak sauce. And your judgment is not very appreciated. I don't appreciate your judgment here. Also, guys, if you were wondering, and I didn't put that one on screen, Pinky Doll is back, and she's crossing the picket lines.
She just got her big break. She's going to Hollywood.
Here, let's watch this video while she makes her announcement. You guys are gonna love this, I promise.
Yo, you're never gonna believe that. Guess who is going to Hollywood, baby? To Hollywood. Yes, it's your girl right here. It's your girl right here. Yo, I'm going to Hollywood, baby. That shit about to be popping because when I come in here, I'm gonna take somebody's spot. Yo, I'm gonna take your spot. So you better secure your spot because I'm coming for it. I'm coming to it. I'm going to.
I mean, the spot's open because it's strike.
Me,
So
pick it up on me. Where you at? If you're here, manifest yourself. Woo! We about to get it, baby. We about to get it.
So she acts like
yo.
this even when donations aren't going in.
Yes, she's gonna
She
be a
always
scab.
talks like
She's
this.
literally gonna be a scab. She's gonna
So,
she's
also-
gonna work for scab wages.
On top of getting called out for lying about her age online, saying that she's 19 when she's actually 27, people actually were reposting videos where she was talking to her son when he walked in on her doing her live streams and threatening to sell their dog.
Who is this person?
What?
I've never heard of this
Yeah.
person.
You haven't seen Ice Cream So Good?
No.
Gang Gang?
No.
You know, good for you, Wesley.
That's like your lack of connection to this is a big W for you
Yeah.
in the world. I'm losing far more than
Well,
I'm
I mean,
winning.
you need to know this stuff so that you can incorporate it into the Cass Castle universe.
You need to look up
We
human
need-
live stream NPCs.
We need an episode of Cass Castle where Ian becomes an NPC streamer.
yes.
It's that. I didn't know that the Y in Hollywood was optional.
Yeah, you don't need to
Hollywood.
Hollywood. You don't need to actually say it.
But
It's
who
not
says
necessary.
she's in SAG anyway?
like
I don't think she is.
she's not.
She's probably just got booked for a commercial.
she's not in SAG. She's a scab now. She's crossing the picket lines to work. You know, she's got to feed her son before she throws their dog away.
Yeah.
That's the way it has to be. You know what it is? They're probably going to make commercials based on her, like the trend that she's
Yes.
into right now. So it's going to be like, you know what it is? It's probably a Ben and Jerry's commercial.
What?
It's probably an ice cream. So good. It'll be.
Oh yeah.
It'll be. See,
That-
my big brain just
Yeah.
processing
Yeah.
too fast.
Remember when we came up with based ice cream names?
Yes, I forgot all of them though, but we did do
I
that.
forgot them too.
We had a bunch of based ice
It's all
cream
a blur
names.
now.
We'll have to go
Remind
back and check
us in
that
the
video.
chat, please.
Yeah, they're better at remembering that stuff than we are, anyways. We got to show you. Can we find some NPC streams to show Wesllie? There's got to be some here, right?
I mean, if
oh,
you
there's the
just-
guy. Here's one. Here you go.
Yeah.
Wesllie here.
Slay, huh? Yes. Oh, thank you, baby. This is so cute. Ooh, yes. Hey. Yeah, strong woman. Hey, stop it. Stop. You're going to break the sofa. Why? Why are you doing this? Why? You keep going like this, I'm going to sell the dog. I don't want a dog anymore. Why? Why are you doing that to the dog?
She's not a very nice person.
She doesn't seem like it. No.
She's not a very nice person at all. That was very, very mean.
Don't get that bag queen.
Yeah.
Don't slay.
Give the dog the money, not her. Give the dog the money, not her.
I don't know what I just watched.
Yeah.
No, there was a missing. No. It was like a bounty that was on some criminal, like a murderer, and he like was in someone's backyard, and their dog was like barking at him, and they reported the guy, and then the dog got the money.
It's like those rich heiresses that leave their money to the dogs.
There was a $20,000 bounty on this guy, and they got $2,000 instead for their dog. They got cheated.
That's not good. So they can only spend the money on the dog?
Yeah. It's insane.
Okay. We live in weird times. All right, guys. If you don't know, and there's plenty of people that watch this podcast that use Twitter, it's not Twitter anymore. It's just X. It's not as memeable as his other. I guess they're called X videos now.
Is it just going to be x.com?
X.com. That's what I saw him say.
So like,
this is the worst branding decision ever. Why would you do this? Is he naming it after his child?
Is it just
his child's name is X Archangel? Like,
is it search engine optimization? Because you're not going to get the results you want if you type in X videos. I promise you that.
Nope.
It's not good.
Why does he have to Teslafy everything? He's trying to make Twitter into a Cybertruck.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's going to name the next Tesla Cybertruck a Twitter, and so he wanted to swap them. The party switched.
This is a horrible idea.
Do you use I mean, I use Twitter a fair amount these days, but I'm not going to X something.
Yeah.
All my exes live in Texas. I'm not going to like.
Maybe this is just a joke. Maybe he's just doing it for a day.
Is it? See, if he'd done this on 420, that would have been funny, but not even really. Like what would be the point?
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't make much sense.
The branding is perfect. Like a little birdie told me. You know.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's supposed to be.
Is the idea that
also at this point, massive name recognition. Like
right.
It is the word.
It's been around for almost 2 decades.
Well, let's also be fair. Like nobody calls Facebook Meta.
No.
Like it's still around, but nobody calls.
But Facebook is still Facebook. Meta is just the umbrella term for all of their platforms.
Yeah. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm not going to be calling it. I'm Xing. Maybe the idea is to get Donald Trump back. Like he said he'd never come back to Twitter. He didn't say shit about coming back to X.
True.
I would understand it if it was something X, like SpaceX.
Yeah.
Like
Twitter X.
Twitter X, which is too much.
Yeah.
It would have to be one syllable word.
Tweet
X or something. I would understand it. This I don't understand.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't look good.
The logo doesn't look good.
No. It's bizarre.
You know what else doesn't make sense to me? The fact that The Walking Dead is still alive. It's dead and walking alive as a franchise, and they're still releasing spin-offs.
Yeah. We've got the trailer for The Ones Who Live, which is Michonne and
Rick is coming back. I mean, it was implied that he was still alive when he.
What the hell did Andrew Lincoln do when he left? Did he just go spend time with his family?
Probably.
Like there's nothing he doesn't need to. He made enough money. Like he didn't need to work.
So
he probably. Like with the show replays, right?
How
like
did they?
He's going to be making money for the rest of his life.
What kind of money did they use to convince him to do this all over again?
Well, no, they know what they do. They do the thing where who is it? Like Tom Brady retired and then like spent like 1 week home with his kids, and it's like I'm playing football again. Like I'm not doing that.
They released the teaser trailer for The Ones Who Live spinoff, and also a Daryl Dixon spinoff at the same time. And the Daryl Dixon spinoff is just. He somehow makes his way to France, and it's the same show, but he's in France.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the story.
And the music doesn't really make any sense or fit the tone of The Walking Dead at all.
It's just like Pogface. There's the Eiffel Tower, and there's zombies
on the Eiffel Tower.
The same thing as Dead City, which I didn't even know about. Dead City. I haven't been keeping up. I guess it's Maggie is like. Working with Negan to find her son in New York City.
And that one, the trailer got kind of downvoted too. Like nobody seemed to like that trailer either. So it's kind of...
Well, one of the comments here says, it's supposed to look like it has a bunch of action, but the show will not have what the trailer is trying to show you. All the series will have is people crying, getting caught, taken hostage, crying more, angry people, more crying, getting locked up, threatened, crying more, running away. You'll see zombies for about 37 seconds per episode as per all the other seasons. Yeah.
They need to do a show from the zombies' perspective.
Yeah.
Are you going to watch these?
No, I'm not. No, I fell off The Walking Dead really, I guess really early, like season 4.
Yeah.
And even then I was like, but like even then, like I did for the first 4 seasons found the more human aspect of it compelling
Yeah.
rather than the zombies. Like that was a cool little backdrop, but I don't find that particular action interesting or compelling. I don't find watching people get ripped apart and eaten alive interesting.
Yeah.
I know some people do.
There's a $20 super chat there from Cody Boudreau again.
He said at Shane Salt. Or
No,
no. What will the verb be used to replace with tweet? My sister and I don't like the name change.
It's the greatest subplot in the history of pop culture crisis. Yeah, what will it be? Well, is it literally going to be I X'd him?
Yeah.
I X'd them?
Sounds.
I don't know.
No?
Does he still want it to be tweet? Because that would be weird.
Yeah. What was there a reason for this? It feels like ever since the Twitter they changed CEOs, it's kind of gone
What if
down.
they had called it Status X?
There you go.
Like
They
the
could
band
call-
Static X.
That's good. They could do that.
You mean when he appointed the female CEO?
Yeah, the one that like everybody was complaining about because she had connections to the World Economic Forum, stuff like that, and they're saying now people are getting banned again. I certainly didn't agree with him with his stuff about cis. I'm like, look, if you can't handle being called cis on the internet, you weren't cut out for the
I
internet.
mean, I thought that was just a joke.
I have no idea. Oh, Andrina says expressions. Was that what it will be?
I hate that.
I have no called. It'll be called messaging your ex, says Waffle Sensei. I'm telling you, typing in like X messages and X videos is not going to get you the results you want. Nope. If that's the meme, then also there was a great Babylon Bee thing today. It says Elon Musk changes the name of Twitter to X after finding out 69 boobies 420 was taken, which is very up Elon's alley as far as memetics. It would be very much true. All right. What would you guys like to see? Would you like to see cringe or would you like to see cute? We've got several cringes here today.
Let's start with cute.
Okay. All right, guys. We've got several of those as well. First things first, from Trevor Halbrook on Twitter. He says, this is Sassy, a.k.a. Sassafras, a.k.a. Frass, living up to the name while being super socially awkward, including in her cute little cartoon pup. Well, I understand the socially awkward part, my friend. That's
you can
me.
tell that she's socially awkward.
That's me, except for I'm a dude.
I swear pets know when you're taking a picture.
Oh, yeah, but that's why my pictures of Bucko are always so great, because I always catch him when he's sleeping. But as soon as he opens his eyes, he then gets self-conscious and turns around.
You can see the infrared waves from your phone.
Yeah. So here we got another one. This is from Quiet Anari on Twitter. He says, all right, let's try this for the third time. Here's Todd. He's a Pomsky. Nothing behind the eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. That's an adorable looking pooch.
Majestic.
I've been watching this show called Saving Grace with Helen Hunter, or Helen Hunt, what's her name?
Holly Hunter.
Helen Hunt. Holly Hunter. And the whole show, first of all, there's a $20 super chat there from I Hate Passwords.
No, seriously. Ever since his early days at PayPal, Elon has had a dream of X, the everything app.
So it's going to include like all of it.
Well, they're already trying to be TikTok.
Yep. And then there's another one there from Party Like It's 1776.
Hey, y'all, been loving the show while listening at work. Finally caught a live. Also, Crisis Party.
Yes, my friend.
Christmas
Hold
party?
on. Yes,
Crisis
I'm gonna
Party?
Double check to make sure that is up. Okay, we're
Okay,
good.
we're good.
I'm double checking today just to make sure. That's a photogenic dog. But in the show, Holly Hunter, she's like the show's really interesting because it takes place in like right after Oklahoma City, or like 7 years after Oklahoma City. So that's a big backdrop of the show. So there's a lot of serious undertones. But the saddest she ever is in the show, because she's kind of an emotionally distant character, she loses her dog and she absolutely like bawls her eyes out and like breaks a table. And I just forget that there are people that are, people are that attached to their pets. See, right there. That's the reaction right there. All right, let's got one more here. This one is from Sneck Pliskin. It's a good name. Barkley, extreme ball player and faithful protector. I also suspect he might be smoking my cigars. Does that look like a dog that would smoke your cigars?
Yep.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
It's like a dog who enjoys a game of poker.
Yeah, he does.
I hate those like paintings of dogs playing poker.
It's art. It's art. We need somebody at Carter and ask him how that Nightcore remix is coming along. I need to know. I need to know.
Forgot about that.
All right, we got cringe, and we got several cringes of the day here today. First things first. So, we're going to be talking about Barbenheimer. Well, Professor Peter Hotez on Twitter says, not to be a Debbie Downer, but anybody worried about a post-Barbie box office COVID bump or post-Oppie? He says, we'll probably never know since no one seems to be keeping track of such things anymore. Keep up with your boosters and find a pink N95 or KN95 if you can.
No, I saw like a woman post on Twitter just today that she still wears the plastic shield over her face and an N95 and has an air filter strapped around her neck to filter the air.
Boy, man, COVID broke people. I mean, people were already nuts, but people have embraced it in a way that I never believed. Like, you know what it is for me? I'm just like, maybe it's just that I'm lazy. Like, I would never have the energy to be that neurotic about something, right? And Mary calls me an extremely neurotic person, but I would never be neurotic enough to wear like a breathing apparatus without knowing 110% for sure that I needed to be wearing that. Like, I'm just not that person.
If I thought I had to wear all that, I wouldn't go. If I thought it was actually necessary, I wouldn't go. Like, if it was in an Ebola outbreak and it was like legitimately you could see it happening, I'm like, well, I'm just not going to go to the movies, watch something at home. But it isn't really about that. Like, I don't think they are this neurotic about being afraid of a virus. They're this neurotic about
it's this particular virus.
No, I don't even think it's that. It's about them showing they're a good person.
Okay.
It is always that. It has always been that. That's why they latched onto it. They don't actually care.
That's embarrassing.
But after this box office, can we finally agree that the theaters have recovered from COVID?
No, they'll never admit that.
Can we finally stop blaming bad returns?
Everything
on
is COVID. Everything is COVID, guys. So I love, like, some of the accounts say, like, is this a parody? Because nobody can tell if this is a parody or not. But there's a lot of people. This lady says, if you were looking for colorful N95s to wear to Barbie movie, you may want to check out Breathe Tech's lavender purple masks. Well, that's not pink.
Great.
That's not good. It is what it is. I don't think I ever, like, the masks just never to stores if I was forced to by the company. I wasn't going to sit there and be one of those people that argued with them because I had places to be, but like I can't believe people are still doing it by choice. Though I will say that, like, when I see people, I'm like, look, I don't know if you have some pre-existing condition that I know nothing about that's completely plausible. I'm not going to. I will say that I do kind of laugh when I see a guy wearing one and his girlfriend is not. That's a little bit. I get some secondhand embarrassment.
I get some secondhand embarrassment when I see people driving alone with them.
You still see that?
Still see that, yes.
Unreal.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna watch this video here. Actually, we could have saved it to show him for this. So
this is NPC streaming in the wild.
Here's a third-party view of an NPC streamer. You ready? Here we go.
Roses. Thank you, Jose, for the roses. Thank you. Thank you for the ice cream. Woo! You got me feeling like a cowgirl. Thank you. Welcome to the live. Thank you for the roses. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. Welcome.
Who's white business, bro?
Thank you, Jose, for the roses. Thank you. Woo! You got me feeling like a cowgirl. Woo! Welcome. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. Welcome to the live.
All right, we done. We ain't gonna keep doing this.
Babe.
What?
For the past hour, I made $2,000.
$2,000.
Doing this. Yes.
You lying?
I'm serious.
She's gotta you gotta have some stamina to do that for that long, constantly. Yeah. And those, like, some of those tokens that you make are like for like a penny. So imagine having to say gang, 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 gang for a penny.
2,000 times.
Oh, that is crazy. Yeah, in the chat, Petran says, house looks nice. Yeah, they've got a nice place to live. Who knows? you know, it is what it is.
Ugh.
It's society. We live in a society. We live in a society. And speaking of we live in a society, I have one more. This is a woman posting videos about a day in the life as a spicy content creator.
Sometimes they call you a spicy accountant.
Yeah, I don't know if this is real or not. It could be parody, but let's just watch because life is now.
I think this is real.
Okay, here we go.
What I spent in making a day as a sex worker. I woke up and sat on FaceTime with one of my sugar daddies for 30 minutes. Nothing sexual, he just likes to talk to me, and he gave me $100. So then I went and got my nails done, which was $35 plus a tip. But then one of my other clients wanted me to send him like a dirty story while I was there, so he paid me $30.
Gotta add the
I mean,
shot
I was
of
just
her
sitting in the
feet.
chair. I might as well text him something naughty and get paid money for it. So then I got ready to meet the client that I was first talking to on FaceTime this morning. We had a little lunch date planned where he was going to give me $300 for lunch, but I had to stop and get gas, which was about $20. And then I really wanted to get a coconut water, but this gas station just sucked ass, so I had to get a Gatorade Zero, which I think was like $4. I don't even remember. Then I went to lunch, which obviously was free on the daddy date. Nothing crazy, just lunch and some light making out. Then I cried, which was free. Not because I don't like my job or feel ashamed, but because I'm an actor and a writer and we are on strike and I feel a little lost creatively. So I had to get some comfort food, which was $23. And I got little strawberry shortcakes. Like, how cute is this? Then I went to my sister's house and my stepdad made us pizzas, so dinner was free and I hung out with my family and my little nephew, and obviously family time is priceless.
Yeah, she's definitely not crying because she's ashamed of her line of work. I totally believe you.
You know?
Also, if you didn't notice, there's a child's car seat in the back of her car.
Yeah.
So do with that information what you will.
I'm with in the chat. $20 for gas is like the most suspicious part of that whole thing. Like, I don't know if she's like, you know, does she fills up more frequently or something like that? But I'm not sure if I buy the whole $20 for gas thing. That doesn't sound real to me. Yeah, that's not good. What do you think?
All of these TikTok sugar baby chicks love telling everyone that they don't do anything sexual for money, and it's just a blatant lie. And it's also convincing other women to do the same thing, and then they realize, oh, like I actually have to put out.
Perturbed Alpaca has a $20 super chat there.
Guys, it isn't shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I see no doll click in the chat. Normally doll click would be in here wanting to push back, which I always appreciate. So all right, guys, now that we've gotten done with all this stuff, let's get started. So over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, there was a monumental event, such a monumental event that two large blockbuster films opened at the same time on the same weekend. Very different genres, very different themes, very different directors. Christopher Nolan directed Oppenheimer, a movie I quite enjoyed, but we're going to be talking about that later. And Greta Gerwig, your future Chronicles of Narnia director, brought you Barbie, the film, and together they brought in $511 million at the global box office.
I thought that it was $300 million.
No, I said together, both films.
Together. I thought it was 300. Wow.
Nope. Barbie brought in $337 million.
Barbie is almost like twice the amount.
Yep.
That Oppenheimer made.
Yep.
Mainly because of its rating. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe That's.
But I think there are people taking their younger children to see Barbie, which is a bad idea.
You don't want either of your kids going to either of these movies. So, $511 million worldwide between the two movies. That's 100. I saw two statistics for Barbie domestically. I saw one that said 162 million, another that said 155. The $182 million international box office seems to be steady through both. And then Oppenheimer, $80 million domestically and $94 million internationally. Fun fact, IMDb rates Barbie at a 7.6 and Oppenheimer at an 8.8. Barbie has a very high rating on the verified scores. When you remove verified scores from Rotten Tomatoes, it drops into the 70s, right? So here's the thing. This is the biggest directorial debut for a female director, opening weekend for Greta Gerwig, surpassing
you gotta make those fake milestones.
Wonder Woman, not 1984, original Wonder Woman, some other films like that. Look, I don't know if it's rage. Do you think that this will end up falling off a cliff second weekend?
Oh, Barbie?
Yeah.
A
lot of people are saying that. I don't know if I buy that.
I understand why you would think that, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see dislike for the feminist messaging the way that I expected to.
I saw a lot of tweets that were saying, like, I saw this young daughter ask her mom, what's patriarchy, after watching the movie, so we know we're doing something right, guys.
Yep, we are screwed.
But, I mean, if you go to the Barbie movie dressed up in pink and you go with your girlfriends and it's supposed to be this fun movie, you're going for a girls' night out, you're gonna like it no matter what the content of the movie is. It doesn't really matter if there's messaging in it or not.
Yep.
Like we were all expecting something that was less politicized, but I don't think that the mainstream audience really cares.
I didn't see it, but like from what I'm gathering from other people is that even though that's in there, it's still like a very well crafted movie. Like it is enjoyable to look at it, and like it feel like the humor for the most part lands, aside from some standout stuff. But if you're going for that and it does have those things, I can understand. Like there's no draw for me to go to this movie whatsoever, so I wasn't going to. But if you are, like you said, somebody who's going and it does have those trappings, you're right. People are going to go see it. They're going to go see it again. And just like with everything else, every movie has messaging in it. Most people just overlook it and don't care. Like most people.
This one was more on the nose, and if anything, I think the themes and ideas in it were just confused.
Yeah,
like if it was trying to be a feminist screed, it didn't really land.
In the chat, Radioactive Girl Scout says it's literally on the nose satire. I can't believe a pop culture podcast has no idea how to interpret this movie. It's hella embarrassing. Well, I think that's
satirizing feminism.
Yeah,
because that's. I mean, we know that Greta Gerwig is a sincere, earnest feminist.
Yeah.
So she isn't. I mean, if you're saying she tried to like satirize like the patriarchy, but it didn't land, and then it ended up satirizing wokeness and feminism, that's their mistake.
The narrative was confusing. If that was the point, then it was not crafted well.
But that was not the point, because we saw their interviews that they thought this was a feminist movie.
Yeah. I didn't, and here's the thing, like if you're not somebody who pays close attention to Hollywood, none of this stuff's going to bother you, because you're going to see an absurd world that does not reflect the real world, and understand and think for a moment that Hollywood just understands that this is being ridiculous and that this is not how the real world is. But we know that Hollywood largely does like to push the message like this as if it is the real world, because they want you to believe that. And the little girls who are going to see this movie will not be able to parse through the satire and the themes in which are being dedicated towards adults, and are still seeming to be lost in the mix, because I've seen a great variety of opinions on Barbie, and you're allowed to have those takes on it. I saw several people who said, like, look, it's not as bad as you think. This I disagree. I think that the messaging of the movie is extremely anti-male female cooperation, not so much anti-male, but is in it's anti anything to do with men and women at all getting together and getting along. But I think that the confused messaging is a problem, and you can say that we're dumb and we don't understand that, but the fact that we read this stuff all day, that we review movies, we talk about these things, and it's not 110% clear, means that the director didn't do her job, or at least the writer didn't do their job.
I mean, the most confusing part about the ending was that the real world is supposed to be this nightmarish Mad Men dystopia where women are second-class citizens, but Barbie still chooses to live in the real world. She seems to hate LA so much, but chooses to live in it at the end.
Yeah. Also, this movie this could have been suspected, but the movie apparently had a marketing budget that was bigger than the actual movie. The marketing budget for this film was $150 million, according to Insider, which means that, they understood what they needed to do to put this across on screens. Also, if it's satirizing these things, I don't know if I buy that, because then the satire would have been portrayed in the trailers, and it seemed as if the trailers knew that the message of the movie would either be something that would be rejected by the audience, or at the very least confusing. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just marketed on Barbie nostalgia and pretty colors.
A lot of people think that this was actually a secretly based film, or at least it tried to be feminist and woke but failed. This one review said, "Why Barbie was good and Ben Shapiro got it all wrong." They tried to inject it with 2014 feminist woke talking points, but it was almost a bait and switch to appease the studios. Very meta because the movie had jokes about how the Mattel executives care about the woke agenda, but in reality they don't. The woke stuff was the least persuasive aspect of the movie, same with the woke characters, and almost made them into a mockery. The movie cares about aesthetics and beauty. I question that just because there was a trans Barbie and there was an obese Barbie, but that's besides the point. And it was more about Ken than Barbie. He was funnier and more interesting as a character. He had a character arc.
I do believe that they felt like they wanted to write for him more than they wanted to write for Barbie.
Men are more interesting even in a Barbie movie, and Barbie was too busy trying to find herself. And somehow in a movie that complains about the patriarchy, it accidentally made it look very fun and appealing. It didn't understand dudes in general. That I agreed with. Kendom seemed like a fun place to live.
Yeah, it did.
Brewski beers.
See, but the thing is I don't know if
houses.
They're still portraying the men as stupid. They're still portraying the men as completely incompetent. So maybe I did not look deeply enough into this movie, but the films together made a crap ton of money, $150 million on marketing, but also Sound of Freedom this weekend opened stronger than it did the previous weeks. It's up to $124 million at the box office. It made another $20 million at the box office this weekend. There was some debate back and forth as to which made more, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, or Sound of Freedom. The original take that I saw that it said that Sound of Freedom made 20.1 million and Mission Impossible made 19.5. But then another, by the way, that box office drop is 64% for Dead Reckoning, which is fairly substantial. But then I saw some fixed figures from one of these websites that said no, it was actually like 19.5 million for Mission Impossible and 19 million for Sound of Freedom. I don't know if that's Sound of Freedom wanting to pump its numbers so that they can say that it made more than Mission Impossible, or if that's a really, really bitter writer who just doesn't want to see the movie do well, trying to make sure that it didn't take third place. Could be either of them.
I want to talk about Ethan Van Sciver getting raked over the coals for his Barbie review. He said it's one of the best films of the year. He said, I truly don't understand the haters. It's woke in the sense that little girls don't like their big brothers invading their girly worlds. It's from a child's perspective. And Ruth's Ghost even calls the patriarchy a made-up concept humans use to deal with the complexities of life. Truly a brilliant film, very well written, very complex, and very adult.
Hey, he could be right. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting this. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, it couldn't decide whether it was for children or for adults, though.
I will say that if you had left out the mom's monologue, it would have gained instantly more traction. I believe that was the only point where it really delved into truly bitter territory. But from that point on,
I mean, there were points in the monologue that made sense, that are salient for why it's hard to be a woman, but it was again trying to do oppression Olympics, who has it harder in the world, men or women, instead of being a more measured response. Ethan Van Sciver also is still defending his stance. He said, Barbie's world exists in the imagination of little girls. Adult women remember being little girls and miss the simplicity of their Barbie dream houses. The real world is hard and it sucks for adult women in many ways, and yet Barbie chooses to become a real woman anyhow, which is the movie's theme. It's a coming of age type of movie, except for the fact that Barbie is an adult the whole time.
And the third act of the film is extremely muddled, and the conclusion felt extremely rushed to me. But this is what I love about it, right? You're allowed to have your own interpretation. You're allowed to see these things as it were. And I'll give him this: it's brave to take that stance when everybody else seems to have such a harsh take on the film.
Yes, someone was like, I don't even know how to explain to you that, how it was a woke screed, but you should watch Pop Culture Crisis you should watch their review to get a sense for why it was bad. But I mean, if you enjoyed it, you enjoyed it. And
you don't owe anyone an explanation for anything.
You don't really need to justify that. Another person said, the Barbie movie shows a man rebelling against a matriarchy in which he owns nothing and his only value is in relation to a woman who doesn't really care for him. He goes too far and tries to dominate the women to restore balance, but this backfires, which essentially they interpret this as like an analogy for feminism.
Okay. I love the film theory. I love the debate about all this stuff, but that's what matters, right? Like, here's the thing. These in this industry, like, people can tell you you're allowed to have your own opinion, but there's plenty of people that it's like when I tell people that I like the Transformers movies and they're like, that's the worst thing ever. You're a horrible person for liking those movies. I know exactly
what you mean.
Yes. Yes, you do. You have your takes that you're allowed to have and your takes that you're not allowed to have. And that's BS. You're allowed to like whatever the hell you like. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for it. You don't even owe them a coherent answer. You don't even need to be. No, you don't.
For someone like Ethan Van Sciver who makes content about entertainment and it's his job to have coherent opinions about these things.
Even then I say BS. Like it's art, dude. Sometimes you just say it's art. And what speaks to you and what speaks to me is going to be vastly different based on your life experience, my life experience. Even so much as the tone and the mood you were in when you went to see a movie can matter. Like I have markedly different reviews for things when I watch something when I'm in a good mood as opposed to if I go to something and I'm not in the mood.
I mean, I'm not so culture war poisoned that I have an allegiance to a certain side on a movie, you know? Like there were parts of the Barbie movie that I enjoyed and there were parts I didn't. It doesn't have to be that serious. Also, I wanted to mention Margot Robbie said that her own friends were upset she didn't kiss Ryan Gosling in the Barbie movie. She said, all my girlfriends were like, well, you did a whole movie with him and you don't kiss? What's wrong with you? I thought you were kind of in charge on this one.
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
You can't have a romantic, sweet ending.
Also, I do have a meme to put up on screen. This was my favorite thing that came out over the weekend. If you like Ben Shapiro and you care about Ben Shapiro, yes, it says, let's say, hypothetically, that I am, in fact, a Barbie girl. Let's also say, for the sake of the argument, that I live in a Barbie world. Is it not then reasonable to assume that life in plastic is, in fact, fantastic?
I did watch his entire Barbie review.
42 minutes long. 42 minutes long.
He hated it. But he said all the jokes are in the first 10 minutes, and that was the end of the humor for the movie. I disagree with that.
Also, feminist academic complains that no women speak for the first 20 minutes of Oppenheimer. I knew there was a reason I liked it.
This has got to be a parody account. Like, I looked at her profile picture, and it looks like it was made by AI. And it said, fun fact, no women speak until 20 minutes into Oppenheimer, and then within a minute, there is a sex scene. Didn't pass the Bechdel test, I guess.
Well, somebody also said that Barbie doesn't pass the Bechdel test either.
Why?
I just said
because they're not real women, they're dolls?
Maybe, I don't know.
I also saw a take from another clown on Twitter that said, people seem to love Oppenheimer, but I'll just say it. I was uncomfy watching yet another movie about tortured white male genius when the victims of the atrocities are glossed over by the script. Japanese people, interned Japanese Americans, and Native Americans had no voice. And then there's a community note under this tweet that says, Robert Oppenheimer was Jewish. His friends and relatives were murdered by Nazis specifically for not being white/Aryan.
And that becomes a plot of the movie, right? Like
that's the entire reason why it was happening.
We'll get into that. That's very much worth it. Look, guys, just like what you want to like. Don't like what you want to like. What you don't want to like. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to get a lot of examples. I do think, however, that we are going to see a trend now, perhaps where studios work together to release big films that have opposite audiences at the same time. So like you release a family film that runs directly contrary to a big budget R-rated movie or something like that. Maybe the studios will then work together to try and piggyback off this and make their own mimetic success. Imagine if The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia had come out in 2020 or 2018 rather than 2008.
Back then this was self-explanatory, but we need to, I like that we can just accept that these movies have different audiences and that Oppenheimer is for the boys and Barbie is for the girls, and not everything needs to be made for everyone, you know? Yep. Despite the fact that in one of the Barbie trailers it said, you know, if you hate Barbie, this movie is for you. If you love Barbie, this is for you. not every movie can appeal to everyone.
It also means, ladies and gentlemen, that we will be inundated with Bratz movies and American Doll movies. People on Twitter pointed out to me like those already exist. I'm like,
well, not in theaters.
Yeah. Well, even if they did, I'm like, but now they're going to be done, and they're going to be given the budget, and they're going to be given the marketing budget to do this. Obviously, maybe they'll get Greta Gerwig to do the Bratz movie. People were like there's like people correcting me. They're like, a Bratz movie came out in 2007. I'm like, I didn't know that, dude. I had no idea.
I liked the animated Bratz movie.
So, we're gonna get lots of this stuff now. We don't make the rules. We're gonna get Barbie 2 Electric Boogaloo. I don't know what it's going to be about, but it's going to happen. I'm guessing there won't be an Oppenheimer 2, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, guys. All right, we got some super chats there. Let's go to super chats.
Cody Boudreau said, "What does being based mean again? Love the show. My sister and I watch it every day while cuddling on the couch." You're weird. I
know who you don't ask about the meaning of based, and that's Seamus, who calls literally everything based. He does. Yeah. You're like, hey man, I'm going to lunch. Based. Yeah.
You could say like
what does that have to do
it's
with
80 degrees outside.
Based. Like, what does that have to do with? What does that have to do with it?
Quite Blackpilled said, "Where to F has Dane been? Got some fire Lex Friedman to send him, but I forgot how to spell his Twitter handle. Looking good, guys. Go kill it this week."
Dane is working hard. He's got a lot to do. He's got a lot of social media stuff that he has to do for this company. So he's very busy these days. What is his Twitter handle?
I thought it was DP Font. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
He used to spell it out for you guys.
And now I will spell it out for you.
Every single day. So.
Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said, "No one in Texas goes to Texas Roadhouse, and no one eats there. Saltgrass Steakhouse is where it's at."
Is there like some type of corollary with another restaurant? Are there other restaurants based on the names of places?
Cody Boudreau said, "Shane, Saltgrass sucks. I am from Southwest LA, but have lived
Louisiana.
Is it Louisiana? But have lived in Corpus, Houston, and Dallas. Saltgrass is just bad."
Okay. Well, you guys fight in the comments. Yep. Fight in the chat if that is in fact true. All right, guys, let's move on. Now that Barbenheimer is done and everybody can move on because they're very mad that we keep talking about it. Did you see that in the chat? They're like, "Why are you guys still talking about it?" It is what it is.
Let's get our review over with. How about that?
Well, we're going to do that right now. Guys, we are about to review Oppenheimer, starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., and more. This is a film directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Christopher Nolan, based on the book American Prometheus, which is the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer. What did you guys think? I want to go round table. So first things first, Mary, would you see it again?
Oh, no, I would not see it again.
Would you see it again?
Yes.
Okay.
That's mostly because of the length.
It's a very long movie.
But I just recognized that this movie wasn't made for girls with short attention spans.
There's a $20 super chat there from Disco Jensen.
He said, "Barbie was written by and for 30-something females that spent their lives partying and chasing a career. She is trying to convince herself in writing that she made the right choice rather than growing old with a family."
Okay.
I thought that Greta Gerwig did have a family.
She's married to the guy who wrote the movie with her, Noah Baumbach.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What did you think, Wesley?
About the movie.
Okay, about the movie.
About the movie.
Man, I actually have not enjoyed a theater experience as much as I enjoyed that one in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I think the last thing that I had, like, nothing but positive things to say was Bullet Train.
Bullet Train was good.
Which because I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it. With this one, I was like, all right, I got big expectations, and it met them. As I tweeted about it and said that, like, there is a world where there is an alternative universe where this was like the most by the numbers, kind of walk the line period piece.
Not in the hands of Nolan, who's known for his time jumps and his his discombobulated storytelling. Mm-hmm. It would be a lot more boring.
Yeah, it would be just another what's the word I'm looking for? Conveyor belts, kind of.
So this is a movie that starts with J. Robert Oppenheimer as he is kind of taking the head of department in academia up through the project at Los Alamos, through then the political persecution and hearings that followed the Manhattan Project. And it's, in my opinion, it is a masterfully crafted story in regards to pace. I was never bored in the entire 3 hours of this. And it takes a very, very talented director to make hearings and political stunts interesting on screen.
Yeah, and it also takes like a really talented editor to know where to put those things in the movie in relation to the main storyline that's going on, because there really is no A story. It's all like a mess.
It is one story, but it's not. It's a mess, but it's not.
Yeah, right. But no, it's portraying a mess is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like the movie's not a mess. It's portraying this like messy, hard to explain. Like even if you're trying to explain what happened, like you read the book and you're like, I want to tell you about this, you would have to do this. You'd have to like say, but let me jump forward to here. Let me jump back there. That's the only way to do it and feel that kind of like the impact of what happens in scene A is played out like it is informed by what happens in scene B. Like they go together, and to be able to have the foresight to know this has to go here, and that your audience will remember that when you come back to it later. It's really
and not talk down to the audience in that respect. So the first act is a lot of character. Like it helps introduce you to who J. Robert Oppenheimer is, his faults, his flaws, as well as his strengths, the complex nature of his character, which is very, very important for later.
I mean, this was possibly. Thank you.
Hold, please. See, that was the bomb right there.
Yeah.
It's party time.
Go ahead now.
It's like Los Alamos all over again.
It is.
It was possibly on purpose, but I found Oppenheimer to be very hard to read.
That's the point. No, I think that's the point, because what happens is in this film, a big part of the political theater is basically the politicians trying to smear him as a communist sympathizer and somebody who could have had potentially anti-American sentiment as a way to get him out of office. But it's revealed later that this is actually the product of a much more personal, interpersonal vendetta going on with another character. But that theme is used throughout.
Funnily, a lot of right-wing influencers thought that this movie was communist sympathizers.
Yeah, like look, they work very hard to show J. Robert Oppenheimer as somebody who refuses to be tethered to one ideology or belief system, even if he labels himself a New Deal Democrat in the film, right? And you would absolutely be right. And first of all, they do take a shot at McCarthy. There's a quick shot taken at McCarthy. All of the right-wing politicians are absolutely shown as bullies and people who are looking to have gotcha moments on this guy. But that's what I'm saying. This is where Nolan's direction and pacing really, really kicks in, because these scenes could have fallen into melodrama very, very quickly. And for me, they never did that.
Yeah. No, and I don't understand let me say this. At the beginning of the film, I was like, am I sitting here watching a movie that's apologizing for like mid-century communism? But then as it went, I was like, no, I understand what's going on here. It's all about his perspective on it. The movie holds whatever tone he happens to be feeling in the moment, which I don't know if I read it or somebody I watched said that Nolan has said that the stuff in color is all subjective from J. Robert Oppenheimer's perspective, and everything in black and white is as written in history. And
because there'd be transcript.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes sense to me, because the movie is so like intimate with him the whole time. Like the movie focus, like it's an IMAX camera pointed at a guy's face for most of the movie, and that's really interesting. But and how it's presented, but the movie doesn't really take a stand. He's not telling you how to feel about any of it. He's saying this is how the people at the time felt about it, which I think is an incredibly fair way to make it. And there would have been people who are like, we're the good guys, even though from our perspective or from somebody else in the movie's perspective, they're the bad guys. And it shows both sides of that, like why this person feels that way, why they feel like that would be a threat, like the Committee on Anti-American Activities or whatever. Yeah. Un-American? I don't know. But it doesn't take that position. It just presents it as the people in the scene at the moment happen to feel about it.
And they go through a lot of what he felt after the detonation of the bomb at Los Alamos, and then the subsequent bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. His frustration with the politicization of everything that went on with it. Not so much the use of them, but the fact that his push to the contrary, his push for he wanted to treaties related to nuclear weapons. All of that, he felt like he wasn't being listened to and he wasn't being heard.
But it also called him. It took him to task. The movie doesn't entirely identify with him either.
They call him he's a glory hound, and he wants to be the face of this.
Right, exactly,
movement.
And it shows that in the end where he's like, they're like, why did you suddenly have morals against this? Why did and it?
That's a fair question.
It's pretty. He doesn't have an answer.
Yeah.
And it's almost like him questioning himself and being like, maybe I have been acting this particular way because I want to be this, or. And it's unclear. It doesn't say, well, he did these things. At one point, Robert Downey Jr.'s character says, perhaps he embraced fame because it would protect him.
He was the standout performance to me in this film was Robert Downey Jr. His out of all the performances in the movie, I think his was the one that I've been waiting for because I've been waiting for a really, really good Robert Downey Jr. performance after, post Iron Man that I've yet to see. And I really felt that he nailed it in this film.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I have to stick by Cillian Murphy on it because it was just, he was enthralling to me, seeing the wheels turn. Like he can do so much with his eyes that it sucked me in the whole time. Not to diminish anybody else's performance, everybody was great.
Couldn't stand Florence Pugh in this movie, but I often
were you supposed to?
I often can't stand Florence
was
Pugh
she
anyway.
supposed to be a likable character?
No, I mean it's not about being likable. I didn't like her. I knew Mary would not be a fan of the nudity in this, and I will say completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Didn't need to be there in any way, shape, or form unless it was there to give it the R rating. Was there a lot of cussing? I don't remember if there was a lot of cussing in the movie. Maybe I just blocked that stuff out. But if the point of the nudity was to give it the R rating, I guess. But
I don't know. I not entirely necessary, but I could see what it was used to do. It was sort of like this guy's so dressed up all the time, and this is the one person. It was a
But they call him a womanizer. They call him a womanizer.
I know, but it was painting the picture that even his relationship with his wife was almost business.
Yeah.
And his relationship with her, this is the one person he felt vulnerable with. And then using that same visual metaphor was when he felt exposed in the hearing and he had the guilt of it.
Okay.
Well, I thought that was well played, and it wasn't like the way that the media represented it before was like there's this prolonged double nudity scene, and it was like he's sitting there with his legs crossed, and it's like that is also a visual metaphor. It's like he's exposed but still hiding something. Like I find that somewhat visually compelling. Didn't need it personally. You could probably have done that in another way, but it didn't offend me. I was like, well, this is what I get it. I get it. I get what you're saying. And that one particular scene where the camera's circling around him, I was like, that's pretty effective. He feels exposed. He feels like what he did and feels guilt about, it may as well be happening right there in the room in front of his wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty cool.
I appreciate that the movie was able to present historical events in an objective way and not be, precious and overly concerned with what contemporary audiences will think of it, or the current political climate and its interpretation of the past. But I also think that it was bringing up moral questions that a contemporary audience is not prepared to
actually
engage with at all. And
like what?
I mean, specifically with the atomic bomb. He's supposed to be questioning his own morality and did I make this weapon as a remote? Was I remote from this evil, or was I one of the people that enacted it? And I just don't think a question like that is going to be actually engaged with by a modern audience properly.
You might be right, but I don't think that's a reason not to ask them, because if you set the standard low, then the standard is low.
I thought what I liked was one of the things that was funny is watching them build as they're building the bomb. It was very much like in the Dark Knight Rises. It felt in the same context to me. So somebody's like, do you think Batman survived the bombing at Los Alamos? Because that same question is asked at the end of the Dark Knight Rises. Did Batman actually survive that? Look, the explosion scene was masterfully done. I was waiting for the nuclear jump scare. That eventually came, that comes after the repetition of his famous quote. The sound design there was very, very good. The visuals were very, very, very good. He has said that there is no CGI in this movie whatsoever. So all of that was done live, I guess. There's some great memes that came out. It says like the Oppenheimer cameraman and this guy holding the camera. It's like all his skin has been pushed off his face. Like Nolan's like,
sorry.
Like, basically. Right. So look, it's hard these days for me. Like, I will say that for me, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning did something similar, meaning that it was a long movie that didn't feel long to me. And that's hard for me because I'm extremely impatient. I have a very short attention span. And credit to Cillian Murphy, he's enthralling on screen. Every time he's talking, you want to take in everything he says because he has a command performance. Emily Blunt does a very, very good job of showing multiple layers to a very complex look at what an actual human relationship is like, right? Like you have to look at
fiercely loyal
and while being just a mess, right?
Yeah.
She's a mess, but she's extremely loyal in a lot of ways, wants to push back on things that he's not willing to push back on. And she calls him out for it in the room, but at the same time has to be stoic when in front of these committee members. By the way, the lead committee member played by Jason Clarke, he nails that role. He's just a dick. The guy's just a dick. Also, it was very cool to see David Krumholtz in this movie, who gained a crap ton. I can't tell if they did that with makeup or if he put on that much weight, but he put on a crap ton of weight to do that role. I don't know if that was because that's just what he looks like now or the person he's portraying looks like that, but he did great. Kenneth Branagh was
standout
cool
performance, the best performance I've ever seen from James Remar.
He was only in it for a couple of minutes.
But I believed him, and I usually don't.
Cody Bedreau said, did they try to make Cillian Murphy look just like the G-Man from Half-Life while watching it with my sister during dinner and movie date night? We sure thought so.
I don't need, like, this is a story that I believe is going to have a very, very bad ending. My friend, you and your sister, it's not good. But Gregory Barra, Kenneth Branagh, Harry Groener.
It was very weird and took me out of the story to see Josh Peck.
Yeah, and
I didn't mind it.
Tim DeKay, Scott Grimes, like all these actors that I've seen a ton of before, but on smaller projects.
The eldest brother of the Skarsgårds, it plays one of the scientists as well.
Oh yeah, I saw him in the credits.
There was Tony Goldwyn played. Tony Goldwyn was in there. He's after playing the president on Scandal for 7 seasons, and Vincent D'Onofrio's heroin addicted brother on played
a serial killer in Dexter as well.
Yep. Tony Goldwyn's great. So
little connection with James Remar.
One of the great things about somebody like Nolan is he can get any number of actor. Like his like fill in, like his supporting cast are A-status actors on television, so you're going to get great performances.
Well.
Yeah, you're going to get
Alex Wolff.
You're going to get great performances. All around, and I really do think... I saw
people saying, like, Benedict Cumberbatch is probably crying that he didn't get this role.
He should have been. I'm surprised he wasn't in this movie at all, right? And Matt Damon also did great. Yeah. Like, as just... his
Casey Affleck.
The thing about the Matt Damon is that they screwed him in the trailer by putting his worst delivered line in the trailer. Yeah. The rest of his performance is great and measured and done in a way that you... Like, they actually give depth to his character where they point out, he goes, I'm but a simple soldier. And then the guy's like, you studied engineering at MIT or something like that. He's like, oh, did I?
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, guilty as charged. Like, it was great. And I really do think that this is the type of movie that, if your girlfriend forced you to go to Barbie, my friend, get your revenge. Drag her ass to Oppenheimer and mansplain the whole way through, like I saw all of the Nolan bros doing during this movie.
You did?
No, I'm being hyperbolic, but there was definitely dudes there with their girlfriends who you can just tell the dude's read the book and he's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is where this happens.
I don't think I could actually say I like enjoyed myself watching the movie. I can tell that it's technically well done in every way. I'm ambivalent about it.
Also, people hate Nolan's sound design, but I love the sound design in this film. I thought it was.
I think they just hate that sometimes you can't hear the voices.
That wasn't the case.
I didn't have that problem.
In this
I didn't either.
Film,
except in crowds, and I was like, but that's what it would sound like.
Somebody pointed out there is a technical error with the flags in the scene where he's talking about the successful detonation of the bomb, because apparently we didn't have the 50-state flag yet. And while I was watching, I'm like, did we have Alaska? Like, I was like, who's the? Is it? I asked that question. I wasn't smart enough to know the answer, but I did wonder if that was like a thing. And apparently that might have been a mistake on there. But look, there's a sense of like scale to what he does that even committee member hearings feel like a big deal. Right? Like when you're watching him on screen, like the best way to describe this is like when they're doing the horseback riding, it's these sweeping shots from either a crane or a helicopter that are just beautifully done, and they denote the scale of like there was money to be spent here to get these shots, where if this was done on a television budget or even with a director with less tact and skill, would have just been done on ground and it wouldn't have been as captivating. Did you find the personal elements of him to be the more interesting part, or did you find the element, because like when you really look into it, I basically says like only Christopher Nolan could make scientific project planning interesting, because that's what it is, right? When they're talking about the science, nobody knows what the hell they're talking about unless they're a scientist. But he makes it interesting because it's about the connection between the scientists, right, in all of their interpersonal drama.
It did a good job of humanizing scientists and showing that they're not these gods that
they're jealous.
Truths from on high.
They get jealous just like anyone else. Like when one scientist gets the funding that you want. It was. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, and that you go straight into another person I thought was fantastic, which was Benny Safdie as Tellers. The one who turns on him and she won't shake his hand at the end, like, and how much he looks like Shane.
My gosh, I noticed that too.
But no, you're 100% right. And he finds a way, he does it with everything, with all of his movies, where he finds a way to take whatever the plot is about and inject that into the interpersonal, where like there's something more to be said about every theme. It is interlaced in those interpersonal things. The achieving the goal of detonating the bomb, it's also a metaphor for what happens in his life. Like by achieving it, he detonates a bomb in his own life.
And they warn him of that beforehand. He's warned before that happens. They go, when they're done with you, they're going to use you up and they're going to spit you out because it's the government. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know if I can trust Hollywood to be honest about that from both parties, but it is a universal truth that when the government is done with you, it will chew you up and it will spit you up, because because
you're a problem for them if you've had that access.
Exactly. Also, David Dust Malcolm is perfectly cast. It's just a slime ball.
Yep.
I really thought
I wouldn't even call him a slime ball. He was just like a sharp tool.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, well, I'm going to aim you at this, and you are a battering ram.
Still think he could have been a good Joker. Even especially given the fact that he was a Joker ally in The Dark Knight. But there's some very interesting discussions about communism and socialism, all of which in the hands of another Hollywood writer would have been really, really like this had the potential. Those themes had the potential to be utterly terrible in the hands of anyone with less craft.
I mean, like, again, to the people that are like, this is just a communism apology movie. No, it's not. Like, even Emily Blunt, Kitty, when they're grilling her about her involvement with the Communist Party and whether she has a card, she's like, I thought they were something, they're not.
Yeah.
And I believe in these things, they don't.
Being, and they say even after he has his security clearance revoked, they say, we have no doubt that you love this country, but under the new guidelines from this Atomic Energy Committee, we cannot in good conscience give you, but it doesn't matter, because it all comes back to the interpersonal story between him and Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Strauss. Not Strauss, Strauss. Like, that's the beauty of it, right? Is that it's not about necessarily these big ideas in the end. It's just about the fact that he humiliated this guy at a conference 6 years ago, and the dude's a dickhead who held a grudge for a super long time. And even he has, like, there's a great moment where they're trying to, one thing that I thought was written out or could have been handled better, and I think they might have written it into a corner, is I don't know what I was expecting when they were talking about, like, what did he say to Einstein? Like, I don't know what I expected him to have said, but it wasn't as enthralling as I expected it to be. It works.
I expected it to be sort of a mundane thing, and that is more, to me, more
believable.
Satisfying. More satisfying, even just him being like, hey, like, this is the weight of genius, and this is what people who aren't geniuses will do when you are, and you don't have, like, you are not the politician. You are the person that enables them to build their career off of you, and that is exactly what Robert Downey Jr.'s character wanted, was to just use him to prop himself up into a cabinet position. And when he did something that undermined him way before that, he just same thing. It was a double dip, as you might say.
All right, I would recommend going and seeing it, if for no other reason than to cleanse your soul of the Barbie mayhem that we dealt with over the weekend. Mary, thoughts?
I recommend it. I mean, I'm not the target audience, but it was good.
Okay, and
100% recommend. I'm definitely going to see it again.
Excellent. All right, let's go to Super Chats then.
EF said Trump joins X and becomes the top X-rated shit poster.
That's what it's all about, and that's what we need.
Shane H. Wilder said, so since Twitter is now X, it seemed appropriate for Mary to keep asking for hate on it. Maybe try sending ambivalent indifference on X. We can test market it on the lesser show like IRL.
Yes, the much smaller show.
Disco Jensen said, boy, is society going to have a hangover when the X you X'd on X realizes what you've been doing to pop culture.
Oof. Let's do one more.
He also said, I'm sure the people paying for NPC streams just hate women, and the people doing it are too lazy to learn any other cash generating skill.
Do you think it is? It's like a power move. Like I can make you do this by giving you money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like people called it a control fetish.
Let's do one more from that Danzatastic. Just says GG.
Oh, okay.
It's got a gang. All right, guys, we're moving on. All right, so Mary, tell us about Chris Tyson.
Yeah, we already covered this when Chris Tyson of the MrBeast channel announced that he had been on HRT for a couple of months after a lot of fans were questioning what the hell was going on behind the scenes. Why was Chris Tyson starting to present differently? Why was he in videos way less than he used to be? And now Chris Tyson has come out officially as a trans woman on Anthony Padilla's show. He does this podcast where it's like, I spent a day with a furry. I spent a day with whatever other freak subculture person, and does an interview with them. And this was basically Chris Tyson's coming out interview. It was like the I Am Caitlyn of Chris Tyson.
It's ridiculously narcissistic.
It is.
The culture we live in
The
now.
whole thing was questions about like, you know, what was it like in therapy when you like decided that you were finally going to come out to your friends? And it was all questions about Chris. It was all me, and nothing about, you know, what's the situation with your family? Like, you have an ex-wife and a child who's like 3 years old, and how does this affect them? It's all about him. It's incredibly selfish and narcissistic. Let's show a couple of clips from the interview before we get into it.
All right, this is from Ollie London, posted this one. It says, YouTuber Chris Tyson is creating a parody of women by putting on a woman's voice. Is he auditioning to be the new Dylan Mulvaney?
Yeah.
All right. Here he goes.
Sure.
Hey, Anthony. Congratulations on buying Smosh.
Thank you.
Good?
That was good. Thank you. The most interesting part about seeing that is it felt like there was like a sparkle in your eye. Something about it was like I could see this feeling of you feeling like yourself.
Yeah, and I really like showing voice.
Okay.
That was probably hands down the cringiest part of the interview. Anthony Padilla asked Chris Tyson to try out his woman voice on air.
Okay.
And Anthony Padilla, like MrBeast, is part of this like OG YouTuber crowd that they were around in like the late 2000s, early 2010s. They had this like irreverent humor. They did like shock value, offensive jokes, and then they pulled up the ladder from behind them when other people wanted to do the same thing. And now it's just like an interviewer who has integrity would question or press someone on their decision making, but this whole interview was just, you know, clapping like a seal at everything Chris Tyson says and does and not questioning any of it. And also a lot of it was like praising pharmaceutical interventions for psychological ailments, which whether this is gender dysphoria or anxiety or depression, I think that's a dangerous path to go down or to encourage for other people. I don't think that pharmaceutical solution is ever going to be your path to long-term happiness if you have some kind of psychological problem. And really this just smacks of like a midlife crisis, to be honest. Like
you used to buy a sports car.
Yeah,
when you turned middle
just buy a
age.
McLaren. I know you have the money for it. Why are you going down this path? Let's watch the other clip. How about that?
Here we go.
Oh,
Oh, that actually was
because I
literally
am a woman.
Oh,
Yeah, she heard.
take a moment on that. Like, how does that feel? Publicly saying in front of cameras that you are a woman.
To even say it to some of the closest friends, it would make me like my hands shake to say it. I would get so nervous. But now I can say I'm a woman. I'm happy to say I'm a woman. It's something that's honestly so freeing, and I think that is part of what the HRT did for me, was being able to accept myself and being able to look in the mirror and say, yes, you are a woman.
Okay.
And this is all like revelations that Chris Tyson says he came to with his therapist, and therapy is like secular confession now, where you're just going to be affirmed rather than corrected in any of your delusions. A lot of things were revealed in this interview. One is that MrBeast has apparently known Chris Tyson is trans for 7 years now. When they were living together, Chris Tyson walked out of his room fully cross-dressing. MrBeast said, "Do you want to talk about this?" And Chris Tyson said, "No." And then they just parted ways, and it was like nothing ever happened.
Okay.
And that he also said 3 years ago he was just sitting around with all of this like MrBeast crew and said, you know, I don't want to be a man anymore, and started crying, and the rest of them were completely accepting and celebratory.
Isn't it also,
which doesn't seem like the way that guy friends talk to each other.
Does it also seem weird to anyone else that like if you felt that strongly about it, you wouldn't need the chemicals to affirm it to yourself? Maybe I'm just wrong here, but like if you actually believed it and it would be easy enough to accept, you wouldn't need drugs to accept it.
Well, he's describing this like euphoria high that he gets from being on HRT, which isn't a good sign. And that's the only thing that gave him the mental clarity to like live as his true self, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, like your son now no longer has a father. Your ex-wife no longer has a husband, and you got married and had a kid at the time when you say you were fully aware that you were trans. So why did you live a lie and then involve other people in it? Like, why do other people have to participate in it?
I don't know. I don't. My main takeaway is what you said earlier about the narcissism of it, and it's like everyone else be damned. It's about me, which I don't get, especially once a kid is involved. Like that should be your life-changing moment. Like in my opinion, like once that kid is born, that is number one. Like
that's why people say like my kids are my life, and they actually mean it.
Yeah, and it's like, and that narcissism is unfortunately rampant. Like that's the one thing that I've seen from Barbie is the 2001: A Space Odyssey homage, where they literally like it's
where they
crush
destroy
baby dolls.
They crush the babies, which is an indictment on motherhood by them.
And like what they look to, the monolith is this like self-involved, like aesthetic, image conscious, consumed product that is Barbie, which is all like materialism.
And it does feel like he's like, whether it's the cultural influence of this movement and then the combination of the drugs that he's taken, like he worked himself up and made himself believe these things in a way that I don't know if I buy that, and it's not my job to question him, I guess. I think that what he's doing
if you're putting this out on a
what he did to the
platform.
child, what he did to his kid is worse than what he's doing to himself. Like, I don't care what he does to himself. I care about the fact that his kid's going to grow up without a positive role model.
I think he's using his kid as a shield for criticism. And he's like putting all of this out on a public platform, which makes it fair game for the public to talk about and have opinions about. And
they
posted a picture of his son crawling around with heels strapped on his feet.
Yeah.
And like said Tucker decided to slay today. And like, we're not supposed to criticize him for that.
Yeah.
Like, I just...
And especially in an age where it's literally like the narcissism of an interview that's literally entirely about you. Like even the most famous celebrities, it's an interview about a movie they did where it's a body of work, or a sports star, an athlete who accomplished something while performing some feat of physical, some amazing physical act, right? This is literally like, we want to reward you for being who you are, I guess. Therefore, you deserve an interview. We've done this to our own culture, right? Like you said, Caitlyn Jenner, all that came before that. We're obsessed with that in this culture because we're a narcissistic culture that we live in these days, an extremely narcissistic culture. But the problem is under normal circumstances, you're open for criticism. In this case, there's built-in armor in which you're not allowed to criticize.
Yeah,
granted, I guess we're doing
Anthony
that anyways.
Padilla left a pinned comment on this video and said, "We want to foster a community for inquisitive thinking, and hate will not be tolerated.
They don't want you to think.
Please
they want you
leave
to just
if
agree.
you desire to tear our guests down for identity or self-expression." So if you have any criticism for this person, shut up, basically. Yeah. And it's ironic because Chris Tyson specifically has a reputation on the MrBeast channel for being one of the most off-the-wall characters that would always say offensive jokes. And it almost seems like adopting this identity is a way to shield yourself from your problematic past. One person said, if you remember back, it said, this is... Sorry. It said Chris was most likely to say something sexist or offensive on the channel, and MrBeast should have gotten rid of him ages ago. They say that now they're stuck with him for fear of being canceled. They don't like Chris, and he's ruined the channel. If you want to look into this, Def Noodles put up a thread of tons of screenshots.
We can't share any of those on here for fear of being
we literally
banned.
Can't put them on screen because
otherwise we'd have
our channel would get censored. But
we don't want that.
Chris Tyson for years and years and years has posted the most offensive jokes on public platforms about race, about trans people included,
9/11,
Hitler, just you name
Islam.
It. He's probably made a joke about it.
Yep.
But I think now that he's adopted this marginalized identity, you're not allowed to bring up his past because you're dead naming and you're not respecting and affirming his identity as a woman who can do no wrong. It all just seems very calculated to me.
Well, and we've weaponized
and the timing of it is very convenient.
As a culture, we've now there's going to be classes taught from publicists and managers who are going to say, like, look, you did this horrible thing. My friend, it is time to pivot. It is time to pivot, and it is time to join this underrepresented group that has protections that society does not afford everyone. So you only get to play that card a couple of times, so save it for your biggest F-ups. In this case, that's not as interesting to me as it is, he just had a kid. Like, you'd think that would be enough to glean your interest and hold you and hold your attention span for a decade or so before you start going through your midlife crisis. But no.
Yeah. And he also talks about like growing up in North Carolina. He was like in this conservative social circle, grew up in a religious household where he didn't encounter any of this stuff. And the only place he did encounter these ideas was the internet. Yeah. And that can like accelerate someone down a self-destructive path so quickly. But yeah, I mean, people's main criticism about this was that the audience of the MrBeast channel is mostly children.
And it's like, I don't know if that's going to affect it, if he's going to be doing a lot of a lot of appearances on the channel. And kids are going to see that.
He's decidedly been like stepping back from appearing on the channel as often as he used to.
Yeah.
I don't know if MrBeast had anything to do with that decision.
Yeah, because like that will become a huge part of the conversation anytime he appears on the channel, right? Well, it'll become about that fact.
Yeah. There were some screenshots from a private conversation which ended up being faked, I think. But it was MrBeast saying, guys, we have to affirm and celebrate Chris on his coming out no matter what.
That came out as fake.
People have been canceled for less, blah, blah, blah.
Holy crap. Between that and MrBeast's tweets or like supposed private messages about the sub, is MrBeast just like a fake news guy? Like he just loves to spread fake tweets around or fake
There's
DMs?
also a fake lawsuit,
yeah.
I think, too. But regardless of whether the screenshots are a real conversation or not, it's one that he has to think about. It does affect his brand that this person is now associated with him forever.
And he won't be able, you can't just outrun that.
I'm just saying, like, if you're a parent, make sure you know what your kids are watching, because I'm sure, I mean, I personally know people who, have never heard of MrBeast and their kids are watching these videos all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So pay close attention.
Do you think this will end up hurting MrBeast's channel down the road? I think he's too big at this point for this to really play a huge role
he's
into it.
gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like he just makes challenge videos and like philanthropy videos, and Chris Tyson's hardly ever on the channel anymore.
I just saw something that said that Feastables like sold out in Europe or something like that. So his candy's doing well too. MrBeast is he's doing fine. He's not going anywhere. And plus, Chris Tyson will then later be able to parlay this into his own, he'll be able to do speaking engagements and talk at conferences and stuff like that. That identity will be marketed and used just as he wants, and will be able to do all the things that he might have been worried he wasn't going to be able to do if the time with MrBeast had run out. He'll pivot and turn it into a career, which sounds dreadfully like I'm such a, maybe it's also my own, like I'm such a boring person, like I can't imagine like a whole making a career based on my boring ass personality. But
I mean, it's not really even about MrBeast's personality. Like
no, I'm talking about
Chris Tyson.
Chris Tyson, like he will pivot this and make it a whole career after MrBeast if he so chooses to do so. Speaking engagements.
I feel
committees.
so bad for the wife. Like, what do you do in that situation?
You don't do any. You feel like she's never going to trust men again.
You can't even voice your own discontent with it.
She's never going to trust men again, ever.
You're just silenced.
Also, like there's like, it's the old trope of like, you were so bad, like you turned someone gay. It's not even you're so bad you turned someone gay, it's you're so bad you made someone trans. And that's this is gonna hurt her for a long time.
Yeah, it's not just high profile people that are in these situations. There are whole forums of women talking about, like, my husband just decided to come out as trans, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
because you've like built a life with this person for decades in some cases.
It proves that no matter how much we pretend like we live in the old world, the narcissism of the current culture, it prevents you from actually committing to things the way, not everyone, but I'm saying that like you still run that risk where like, yes, I love you, we're going to build a life together. But at the end of the day, a lot of the culture is still unbelievably narcissistic, and a smart person or a kind person would understand that and just not commit. It would be alone. Would either...
Like, if you want to live purely for yourself and your own self-gratification and you want to get celebrated on the internet, at least don't bring other people bring a kid into the world that's going to be associated with your public persona.
This is like the thing, like where I was talking to someone recently, is like there's people where it's like they won't commit to relationships because they don't want to be the person who screws it up because they believe that they're selfish, right? It's not you, it's me. He should have it's not you, it's me.
This is the narcissistic opposite of that.
He should have it's not you, it's me a couple of years ago before they brought the kid into this. It's unbelievably
but
cruel.
It's like, my family be damned, my reputation be damned, my business partners' reputations be damned, my mostly minor audience. Who cares about any of that? I deserve to be celebrated just for existing.
And that's because our culture wants people to believe that your actions, it's not even that your actions don't have consequences on other people. It's that what matters to you is the most important thing in the world, and what your life does to other people doesn't matter, because you deserve to be affirmed and celebrated at all points in history and all points in your life. And that's just not true.
Also, like, it would be...
That's not the real world.
It would be still weird, but at least a little bit more understandable if he were trying to actually socialize as a woman and like present as a woman. But this guy is like wearing knee socks and tennis skirts and dressing like an anime girl. Like it's obviously a caricature that he idolized in his mind and had the hubris to actually want to live this way.
I don't know. It's just it's always kind of a dreadful sign of the times because these people are very big in the cultural space for people that are younger, right? So it just shows you where the culture's going. I know, like Tim will say sometimes, it's like I think the culture becomes more conservative. Gen Z slightly more conservative than previous generations, and I'm like, dude, like first of all, like they talk about like it's a self-correcting problem. They're not having kids, and it doesn't matter. All the conservative kids in the world are still going to end up going to these 4-year colleges with the most insane people in charge of them. I take a much more black-pilled
or if they're
view
not
of these
radicalized
things.
by academia, it's that they're consuming this content from a very young age where these things are normalized to them before you even have a chance to intervene.
And it's not going to get, I don't see it getting better anytime soon. It's a storm that everyone's going to have to weather. So, all right, let's do a couple of super chats there.
Grin said, Ken more cool in a Barbie movie? Boys, 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 boys.
Well, yeah, right? It's
he was
obvious,
the best
right?
part of the movie.
Of course.
Unequivocally.
Even with a movie about women, you have to send a man.
Yeah.
Send a man to do a woman's job, apparently.
Ryan Brown said Oppenheimer was a long-winded attempt at making communists into victims. It was a waste of time.
Thoughts?
Disagree.
I don't know if I found the story more complex than that.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. Look, the right-leaning, the right-wing politicians are absolutely bullies. As such, but it's also if it's historically accurate, and I can't speak to how historically accurate everything in the movie is, so I'm not an expert on that, so don't take my word for it. But I will say that the story felt more complex than that to me. Yeah. I did not he was never was he a communist? I don't know the truth of that.
He was never a member of the.
He was never a member of the Communist Party. I know that he was sympathetic to certain, but he at a certain point also like early on when they're talking about the meeting about the members of the college and they're talking about they want to form a union, and the guy he works with tries to discourage him from doing that. Yeah, who I did not recognize.
I didn't either.
I did not recognize.
I thought I was like,
that's
an older Josh Hartnett.
Yeah,
it was just him.
But he then later points out, he goes we don't have a whole lot in common with factory workers and farmhands, right? So I don't know. I get what you're saying, and maybe I'm just not a history buff, so I don't know. But the movie felt more complex than that, and it didn't treat his character as a one-note caricature of of a singular ideology. He was a complex person who had complex beliefs that just happened to lean very left. Mm-hmm.
Perturbed Alpaca said Salt Lick Barbecue, Round Rock, Texas.
I've never had that.
Shout out, I guess.
Let's go, I guess.
DD Mega 297 said, I saw a meme that says Cillian Murphy looks like the main character from Ants with a cab driver hat, and I can never unsee it. Yeah. Right. I see it.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. We'll come back. We got one more story here, ladies and gentlemen. So, over the weekend, this is a story we covered a long time ago. It was the story of...
this is old news.
It's Snow White.
It's a resurfaced clip, as clips are wont to do. They resurface.
So a clip has resurfaced in which Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler had an interview, and Variety asked them a question about their movie, and basically you find out that Snow White she's going to be a strong, independent woman. She's not going to need no man. She's certainly not going to need no prince.
A princess movie where the princess saves herself. Groundbreaking in 2024.
I've never heard of such a thing. And let's just go back and rewatch the clip
in case
so you guys
forgot.
In case you forgot about this clip, because it
this
unleashed
is from the D23 Expo, and on stage she said, they're going to give Snow White a modern edge, which essentially means it's not the same story.
And that men are bad.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage.
Her
what do you mean by that?
face is so smug.
I mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Did you hear that, losers? True love is for freaking wimps.
I know little girls across the nation are just gushing at the idea of being a leader
She's
instead
like,
of being
I can't wait
unconditionally loved.
She's like, I can't wait to get that mid-level marketing job. I can't wait to make it to just under CEO. Like that's your goal in life is to be unbelievably unimportant to a company that will never give a crap about you. But get your bag, queen.
You lost the dwarves, but to add insult to injury, this is also not actually going to be a love story.
You know what's also funny? What I realized recently is like when a man seeks status of a position like this, there's ego involved in there, and certainly a lot of it is about success. But like me and you have talked about many times, men go to war, men achieve things, they show off, and they try to attain status for women to be able to be attractive to women. So even that's more romantic than a woman seeking this position. I'm sorry, like I'm not trying to be mean, but in the modern era, modern edge means no love, no vulnerability, no being scared ever. You can't be saved by a guy no matter what. And look, this is one of the reasons why I think Barbie worked and made as much money as it did, is it's a movie made by women, marketed to women, made for women. Snow White is that same thing, but if you change what it is inherently, it is no longer the story that it was before. Therefore, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think that The Little Mermaid tried to, I mean, obviously they did rewrite parts of Little Mermaid to make it more feminist. They took away moments where the prince was supposed to save Ariel, but at the end of the day, Halle Bailey is just a more likable person, and she played the character in a way that just showed her warmth, and she has this like infectious smile.
Rachel Zegler has
and Rachel
zero
Zegler
warmth.
just has none of the same charm.
She's one of the least likable actresses in Hollywood. Maybe
also
ever.
Also not as successful.
And since I'm feeling unbelievably cruel right now, there's this meme.
Yeah.
So there's Snow White. And
what happened to the evil witch being ugly and old and hook-nosed?
Yeah.
Like fairy tales are stereotypical for a reason.
Yeah.
They're fables.
But you can't do that anymore. Everything has to have the modern edge, and you're not, like I said, it's not just about being vulnerable. There's no cooperation either anymore, because cooperation implies that the men and the women can get along and work together. And in this case, it's not just that. It's the fact that you race swapped the most blatant of characters that you could have left alone, and then also made the seven, like it's a firestorm. It's a shitstorm of things that are going to go wrong. There's no way this movie succeeds.
So now Snow White is about to get a Bud Light style backlash from right-wing bigots who hate fun.
Should we watch the Ben Shapiro clip? Guys, there's an image below. This is not Boobgate 2. I have checked. It is technically safe for viewing, so bear with us. I didn't post the thing below the Ben Shapiro clip. This is not my fault. I do love the username though. If you guys want to look at the username, it's incredible. Whoever that guy is a genius. All right, here we go.
Decided that apparently every redhead in the Disney universe will be recast as a racially diverse person, and this is how, for example, The Little Mermaid ended up as a person of color. It's something that somebody noticed. Basically, if you're a redhead in Disney universe, then they'll recast you. But now they're recasting everyone. So they've cast Snow White. Snow White is now going to be played by Rachel Zegler. Okay, now Rachel Zegler, you may know, again, her name is Snow White. Now you might consider that racist, but that's also the name of the actual fairy tale. And in the actual fairy tale, it says skin. I mean, this is from the original 1936 Snow White. Skin as white as snow, right? That is literally in her name. That's why she has her name. So I guess just to like screw with people, they're casting Rachel Zegler is a very talented person. I'm just
wrong.
It's weird.
Yeah, I meant to pause it there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a lie.
Not talented.
I'm fact checking that one. Ben he's lying about that.
Casting, you might say, right?
He's saying that to soften the blow of what he's about to say.
Understand? There's certain parts that are racially specific. I mean, very clearly so. Right? They're not going to cast Tiana from the Frog Prince, the princess, whatever it is. They're not going to recast Tiana as a white lady. They're not going to, even though you certainly could, but they're not going to. And we all know why, of course. Well, Snow White is like maybe the only racially specific white princess because it's in the name. And it's not like greatly evil if a person is cast as what the part is. It's very strange to me that if you cast Alexander Hamilton as a black person, that's totally fine. But if you cast Martin Luther King as a white person, that is totally unacceptable. Maybe you should cast people as like what the description of the part is. There are certain parts where the person is described as white, and that's okay. That's not like the end of the world.
And he's allowed to say that.
One of the
he's not
quote
white.
tweets said Ben Shapiro is going to be really confused about Jack Black and Jack White.
Yeah.
He's right.
It's a perfect storm, right? You could have what I found. Look, I was watching a show this weekend called Special Ops Lioness. It's a new Taylor Sheridan show, and look, you get to have you can make a couple of things in your show woke, but you can't do everything. And I hate that term. I will always hate that term. But in this show, for instance, first of all, they make a girl who has noodle arms that are about this big do 22 push-ups. Press
Pull-ups.
X.
Pull-ups.
What did I say? Push-ups, pull-ups. Press X to doubt. You can do that. They have the Overwatch team full of special operations soldiers. The lead in charge, the lead sniper is a female. Again, you can have one. You can have the other. You can't have both in this context, right? Zoe Saldana's character is a CIA operations team leader. That's fine. Makes perfect sense. The lady she hires who does the 22 pull-ups and then beats up a dude and beats the crap out of a dude twice her size, she can be a spy. That's fine. But you can't do all of these things together because you stretch the bounds of credibility. What you do is you cast Zoe Saldana as the leader of a special operations group that is, it's basically a detachment of CIA officers who are working in country. You can hire her to do this. You can have the female spy who's going to go work with Afghani women to try and infiltrate Al-Qaeda or whatever it was, Taliban, whatever it was. You can have those. But the second you go beyond that and you start incorporating people in roles that don't look visually like they make any sense, or you have this woman beat up a girl twice her size, a guy twice her size, you are now taking people out of the realm of believability. And I know that sounds sexist, but it would be the same thing if you went to let's rephrase it. You're making a rom-com, right? And it's a girl, she's with her girlfriends, and she goes to a mall and she goes to Sephora. And there's a guy at the counter he's wearing a Bass Pro Shop hat. No, that's because that's too hipster now. He's actually, he looks like a farmer, right? And he's working the counter at Sephora. And you're like, I mean, maybe if this is like Sephora in the wood, maybe once. But if she goes to multiple shops and there's multiple guys working at jewelry counters, working at makeup stores, I'm trying to come up with the opposite narrative here, and it looks unrealistic. That's because it is, and it takes you out of the story. They're doing the same thing with Snow White. You can have the racially ambiguous Snow White. Fine. We're used to that now. People are still going to hate it, but you might get away with it. Maybe. I would argue that that's the one you leave alone. You can get rid of the dwarves if you want and make them 7 racially ambiguous members of a Portland co-op. Fine. I don't care, but you can't have both. You don't get to have both. You can choose one. And maybe, just maybe, people will buy in. But if you do too much, people aren't going to like it, and people are no longer going to buy into your garbage.
Yeah, and this gives Rachel Zegler the perfect opportunity to go on social media and act like she's put upon and ask for people to defend her and, cry about
how she's being oppressed.
Yeah, how she's being oppressed because, she's a perfect princess and anyone can be a princess.
Why didn't they cast you as Snow White? They could have cast you as based
my
Snow
hair
White.
Is too light, probably.
Based Snow White.
And
they
I
could
have black hair.
And you would have had stuff to say, and you and the dwarves could have hung out and done stuff.
I think the marketing for this movie is going to get much, much worse as we approach its deadline.
This is not going to take the Barbie approach where it hides all the bad. This is going to take the you're a bad person approach. And if you don't go see this movie, you're a alt-right Yahtzee who is just
I was going to say if they cast her, they would call it Snow Alt-Right.
Yeah.
If they cast you, that's what they would call it.
Alt-white.
Snow Alt-Right.
I don't claim that. This article says the Snow White backlash is rooted in the same anti-woke fervor which has punished Anheuser-Busch for hiring Dylan Mulvaney, a transgender social media influencer, for a small Bud Light marketing campaign. You're minimizing it a lot. Disney now faces an environment where any move toward inclusion and diversity risks a Bud Light-style backlash.
Again, nobody cares about diversity and inclusion. They care about race-swapping characters and ruining things that had been done another way. This never happens when they tell original stories. Never in the history of the world has this ever happened when you just tell a unique story.
You don't remember when everybody was so mad at Tenet?
No,
remember that?
Nobody
or The Equalizer? Or
all of their news stories, including things
even The Equalizer is a race swap.
Yeah, but nobody
cared because everybody loves Denzel Washington.
Yeah. Even their news stories, like things that do well, including like Encanto, they still are making the new characters fugly. Like,
well, you're not allowed to be beautiful anymore. What was the last time they had?
Little girls don't want stories about, some ugly, mediocre, ordinary person. They don't want ordinary Barbie. They want someone who's aspirational and a paragon of beauty and grace and nobility. And that's what Disney princesses are supposed to be.
Look, they just, when you tell an original story, you get none of the baggage, right? So that's the worst part, is like they could do this and we've got decades of evidence that you could tell an original story and it would be fine and nobody would care. Like nobody hated Lethal Weapon. Nobody. Fun fact, nobody. 0 people in the world have ever hated Lethal Weapon. Rush Hour. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. Nobody cared because it was an original story. It's not that difficult. They're just bad actors. Not actors, but the studios are bad actors who are out there to sow division, to get you upset and then say, why are you so upset about this? Why are you so mad about this? Why would you care? Why do you care if they change your characters? Well, you would care if they changed your characters. And I'm probably the least stringent on this rule, right? Like I care more about how they market it than I do about when they actually do it. And I understand that in a lot of ways is a losing position because you're ceding ground. But I just find that a lot of times it just doesn't bother me. But, they'll never give up and they will never stop using the outrage apparatus as the marketing for the movie. But it doesn't seem like that works either. Sure. Snow White. Sure. The Little Mermaid did good in its opening weekend, but it fizzled out and it didn't do all that great after the fact. It didn't make $1 billion. It should have made $1 billion and it didn't. So I don't know what they plan for any of this. I just know that it's going to be a lot of Rachel Zegler being mad at everyone and using politics.
Also claiming that Disney princess remakes of the 2010s didn't get the same amount of backlash and reactions like the Aladdin remake, the Cinderella remake.
People like the Aladdin remake for the most part. Or I shouldn't say that. People were so surprised that Will Smith wasn't entirely awful as the genie that they kind of gave it a pass. Well, and there was backlash.
They're arguing that all of these remakes have included changes to make them more inclusive or make them more feminist. It says, while the animated Jasmine wanted to escape her country's laws that held her back and marry for love and not be paired with someone in an arranged marriage, the new Jasmine is still being forced to see potential suitors to marry, something she doesn't take kindly to, and she's more ambitious and asks her father why she simply can't be the next Sultan. But that's not the same thing as casting, like, I don't know, like, Mindy Kaling as Jasmine. It's not the same thing. Nope. It's not the same thing as, casting Amy Schumer as Cinderella.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Amy Schumer as Cinderella.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's the other thing, like, here's the thing.
They got too proud.
There was a time when people didn't care. Nobody cared that Brandy played Cinderella. People thought it was fine. No. Back then, they did not feel...
But it also wasn't the end-all, be-all, and they did end up being able to go back to a white, blonde Cinderella with Lily James.
It never goes back after
and
now.
You can't go back now.
No. It's and the funny thing is like also with that, it works because at that time, Brandy was a big deal. Her show, Moesha, was a big show. As a musician, she was a huge deal. And it's just like I said with Denzel Washington and The Equalizer, if you bring name recognition to it, at the very least, even the most put upon of viewer can be like, I kind of get it.
They would argue that Halle Bailey brought the same thing.
I guess.
But-
I mean, I didn't see that. I mean, if that was true, then that's what would have happened. But I don't think that's
I'm
what
sure
happened.
most people hadn't heard of her before.
Yeah, I mean, I
despite
guess
her having a music career.
Yeah, but Brandy was a really big deal back then, and it was a smaller world as far as Hollywood, meaning that like the machine played a bigger role in your ability to find fame. Now fame is so scattered amongst influencers and regular celebrities that if you were famous back then, even somebody of a smaller level of fame back then was as big as a lot of bigger influencers are now.
I just hate that they like they're acting like we're looking for things to get mad at when they're the ones poking and provoking us.
Quit hitting
into our
yourself. Quit hitting yourself.
reactions.
Quit hitting yourself.
You know?
Yep.
They hate everything that little girls love.
And guys, if you want something, just go watch the show Grimm with David Giantoli and Russell Hornsby. A diverse cast, oddly enough.
Well, what is there for the audience of Snow White? What is there for girls?
That's a very good question. What is there?
There's nothing there to appeal to that audience.
That's not true. There's got to be stuff, right? I mean, Grimm isn't new though.
Certainly not from Disney.
What was the show that starred Jennifer Morrison that everybody liked?
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. People like that show. I didn't watch it, but I heard people like that show.
I didn't watch it either.
That's got Snow White in it, and all the fairy tales and princesses and stuff like that.
That was very popular on Tumblr.
Was it?
Yeah.
No. Well, there you go. It's just really funny too because like I said, you can have one. You can change one thing about it.
Watch Enchanted.
There you go. Enchanted.
like
But they want to cash out all their wokeness coins on the first try, and they effed around and found out. So
yeah, it's not gonna be.
I'm excited to see this film fail.
It's gonna be funny because then we're gonna selfishly we're gonna have to talk about Rachel Zegler's meltdown, which will come after the. Actually, no, never mind. It doesn't matter. The movie does well. Tick that, bigots. We'll get to talk about that. The movie doesn't do well. I can't believe you didn't go see it, bigots. It works either way, right? Like, call me selfish, but that's fine. It is what it is. I don't have any interest in seeing this movie, but I'm not the target demographic for this. But I do agree with you. I feel bad. Like the young girls are having all of their things stolen, co-opted for the sake of DEI.
Bitter old female executives
and the
10
male
cats.
executives who are afraid of getting Me Too'd by them.
Yeah. Let's go to Super Chats. Shane H. Wilder said, Brett, we all know you liked Barbie more, LMAO.
I did, somebody caught my post-credit scene. I mean, my stunning admission that I secretly loved the Barbie movie that happened last Friday's show. Post-credit scenes being what they are, not everybody caught it, but it did happen.
Cody Boudreau said, the Smush guys, I assume you mean Smosh, are more cringe than the fake woman voice. I don't know what Smosh is up to. They just bought that IP back. To do what with it? I don't think anyone cares about Smosh anymore. Shane H. Wilder said, a man should always put their spouse and kid above themselves. Chris did neither. True. Tom Bombarder said, watch Snow White again, Mary. The queen was in disguise as the witch. She was quite becoming in her true form. Do you even pop culture?
I wonder if they're going to do CGI or practical makeup.
I was referring to more like Ursula and
imagine
other
trying
villainesses.
Imagine they're like trying to make Gal Gadot ugly and just keeps not working. Like they keep adding makeup and her face just structurally changes and just becomes hot another way.
Did you watch Maleficent?
No.
With Angelina Jolie? No. I think a lot of people liked that at the time.
Another person, like you could, Angelina Jolie could play any character if they wanted to race swap a character and make a black character white. I bet you she'd get more leeway because she's Angelina Jolie. Also, it does matter on the studios because they made Tilda Swinton. The ancient one, yep. and somehow Disney-owned media companies didn't want to report on it in a negative fashion, even though they would have done so if Disney didn't lay the hammer down and say, no, you're not allowed to.
Waffle Sensei said, but we want Boobgate 2.0, Brett, for research.
Look, guys, I'll do the research.
Do that on your own time. Okay?
I can do the research for you. Don't worry about it. You can trust me. It's gonna be fun.
Wilder said the Brothers Grimm described Snow White as skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as the wood of the embroidery frame. Well, there you go. That's the source material, which they don't care about.
They're like, yeah, but what does that mean, really?
It's like when Hermione. It's like that line about Hermione that J.K. Rowling then, kind of retroactively acted like it didn't exist, saying that she had white skin. And then when she was cast as like with a black actress on Broadway or whatever, they were like conveniently dropping that.
You know what it is? I think what it is a lot of this goes like hand in hand with what we talk about, the narcissist culture. Like, I can never blame. A lot of people get mad at the actors for taking those roles, but I'm never gonna blame the actor for being like, especially when we talk about like the writer's strike. 92% of actors aren't ever working consistently. I'm never gonna, like, on a personal level, I'm never gonna hold it against somebody for taking a job.
It's opportunism.
I can't blame them for that, but I get it. I get the anger at it. You have to accept that when you take that particular job, you're signing on for a lot of other stuff that's going to be a problem for you. Like when you're Halle Bailey, and she's not even a good example because she's working consistently anyways. When you sign on to do that, or you're Rachel Zegler and you sign on to do that, you're signing up for not just the money and the puff pieces, but the backlash too.
The downside of being culturally relevant is being culturally relevant.
Yeah. Like,
and literally all of those puff pieces, they ask them questions like, how do you feel about the fact that there's an angry racist mob outside ready to burn you at the stake because of your race? Yeah. And they have to answer those questions, even though it's kind of...
They're like, that's a great question, Joan. Allow me to answer that. Yeah.
High Voltage 75 sent $5 without a message. Thank you. Grin said, Nimona, cute and quirky, or trans propaganda?
What do you think the most...
Oh, we also got a $20 one from Disco Jensen without a message.
Oh, and we actually have one more thing to... I'm hoping to get a third Crisis Party, but we have one more thing to look at today from Shane H. Wilder.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We have the podcastress... next part of the saga.
All right. So Shane H. Wilder sent us this on Twitter.
I hope he's still watching.
It says at Mary Archived, at Brett Dasovic, at Man of Bert, and Mr. Fluffy can star in the Podcastress Part 3. Be sure to visit the concession stand or just sneak some food in and enjoy the show. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Do full screen.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you! Does he look like a bitch?
$10 million and suddenly you're in a bathtub tied up by some French grandpa and yeah. What did I say?
Does he look like a bitch?
Tell the press that I am the Gemini Lieutenant or I will punish you.
A grown-ass man.
Do you dance?
Stop trying to fit in with Stan Twitter. Like, it would be one thing if I were like listening to it to hate watch, and then I like got annoyed realizing that it's well made and like catchy, and I would be like kind of like bopping my head to it. But it's actually ass.
Few boos from the gallery, I see. It's all right. I understand. I've been dull. Well, I shall liven things up for you a bit.
The motion tracking on this must be difficult. Holy crap. Like, that's a lot of keyframes.
Oh no.
And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we are on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Recognize the Crisis, and on Instagram at PopCultureCrisisPod. We will be back with another episode next Thursday. And if somebody wants to make a fourth Crisis Party happen off air, I'd welcome them doing that. But until then, we'll see you then, guys. Later. Okay, that was good.
I forgot that brunette Brett existed.
He was a thing.
That was a jump scare. That was a jump scare more than Mr. Fluffykins, actually.
Once upon a time, there was a brunette Brett.
Got a couple more super chats.
No, let's do it.
Dollclick said, thanks for not banning me, and also thanks for talking 90% about dolls and princesses.
Was that the ratio today? Was it 90%?
Olivia Claire said, hopefully this gets you to a crisis party. Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday, Olivia, and it does look like it's gonna get us to a third crisis party.
Do you
but
want to
just
wait for it?
like I
or-
said before, we could get a fourth crisis party, but that would take some work from everyone.
Yeah.
But that's what I said previously. Brunette Brett
that would take everyone pitching in their fair share, and I know you guys aren't communists.
Brunette Brett would suggest that.
Yeah.
Blonde-haired Brett would not suggest that. Also, I have to figure out what I need to do with my hair now because the sides need to be cut again.
I think it still looks good.
The sides need
Leave it alone.
To go soon.
Let the frosted tips take over.
Well, not on the side. It's gonna look gross on the side. That's not a
Just
thing.
go full Guy Fieri.
No, I'm not doing that.
Get the hair gel out.
And start my
Give me a
own.
look.
I need to go and start my own diners, drive-ins, and dives. That's what I
Yes.
need. I miss that show. I miss that show so much. That show's still around.
I don't know.
I think so.
That was like the one like reality TV show. I mean, what is that? That's not reality TV. It's like
Sort of, yeah.
It is.
like that's
It's
the
like Travel Channel TV.
that's
Yeah.
the only of those shows that I've ever watched. Like I don't.
slice of life TV.
Yeah, like that's
I
one of
still
those
take Hell's Kitchen.
Yes!
Thank
What are the odds of this?
you. Wait.
Very low.
Yeah.
Very
Gene H.
low.
Wilder says we missed the ending.
What? Okay, hold on. I'm going back, my friend. Did we miss the ending to it?
I guess there was another jump scare. At
There
the
was
end.
another jump scare? Hold on. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's still going. Hold on. Here we go. We're going full screen again. Fourth crisis party happened off air. I'd welcome them doing that. But until then, we'll see you then, guys. Later. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That doesn't look like you.
Here is scissor, cause a circle. I hate this. I hate this. We're in scissor, cause a circle. Hello, crisis actors. It's Mary. You know, they're actually they're making another Exorcist movie.
Yeah, we
Yep.
saw the trailer.
For
We
that.
saw the trailer for it.
David Gordon Green.
Thoughts?
Not compelling.
Yeah, it didn't look very good.
It just looked.
It felt like another Blumhouse, like
It
like
didn't-
a sequel, as they call them.
Didn't carry the gravitas that comes with the name, right?
No, and the like teasing with the score, I was like, oh god.
Also, the very decidedly diverse family.
Yeah.
So,
Well, two families. There's a $20 one there from Omni Travis.
5G Milk. Any Lore Lodge friends might know that.
I
I don't know anything about 5G
One of
Milk.
the, I guess he did like a big takedown of Tartaria recently, which I need to go back and watch because I know Tartaria is a big thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We passed 67,000 subscribers today, so thank you very much
To the
for that.
moon.
Yes, to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. Let everyone know where they can find you, buddy.
You can find me at Cast Castle. We've got another episode coming out tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Perfect. All right, Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can send me hate on X, I guess. That's also Mary Archived. I don't know if it's going to stay X, but yeah, send me X's.
All right. I'm not calling it X. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those profiles. Don't follow me on Threads because I haven't checked it since I set up a Threads account.
Boo.
I know, right?
We hate Threads.
This show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen to the audio version of this podcast, it's on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. Thank you to everyone who kind of had their patience because Friday I did not get the audio version of the podcast up until after I was done with IRL last week. So thank you very much for that. Also, I did win. In my mind, I won Best Tim Lookalike.
Best dressed.
Yeah, I was Best Tim Lookalike.
It was
last week,
alarming.
clearly. Yeah. Wesley agrees.
Yeah, it was alarming. Every time you walked in the room, I was like,
All right, we got one more $5 one there from Shane H. Wilder.
Also, the motion cap took hours. Thanks for the watch. Sorry, Mary. Luckily, there are no other good Exorcist films.
Perfect.
True.
Exorcist
All right.
3's good.
Say that again?
Exorcist 3 is good.
Okay. All right. So Monday
Good
through
movie.
Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, noon Pacific, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify to listen. And on social media, we are on X at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. If I ever screw that up and call it Twitter again, don't at me. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Later. Secretly, I can't wait to watch the Snow White movie. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited for it.